Hey guys, Michael here from michaelsherlock.com. It's August 3rd, 2010, and I just want to talk to you about a little media event that RIM, the makers of Blackberry, and AT&T had in New York City this morning. We essentially knew that this was going to consist of two things. First, Blackberry OS 6, and then we thought that there was going to be a new mystery device, which you can see here, the Torch. We'll go ahead and talk about the OS first. So, we kind of already knew what was coming. There had been leaks, they had shown us certain features, but just to, in summation here, there's new universal search. So let's say you knew me, for instance. You type in Michael Sherlock. Text message that we've had, email conversations, Twitter updates would be populated. But what's more, it grabs content from the web. So, if we had interactions in some other mediums, then we could go ahead and do that. Another thing, of course, is the primary thing here, the new browser. This is a WebKit browser. It's an extremely big improvement over previous iterations, and it's just a necessary feature with its full HTML5 support for a smartphone. Blackberry had been hampered for years with their terrible browsing experiences, and it's just really critical that this HTML5 WebKit-based browser is there. Another thing, social media integration. Blackberry consumers have always been business-oriented, but one of the ways that they can attract new customers and consumers to boost their market share, of course, is social media. People are always on Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, Blackberry Messenger, and with all one, you type the message, it'll be shot out to all those services. But you can select them too. So if you had a private Facebook account, but a more open Twitter account, maybe you don't want all the same messages going out to Twitter that you send out to Facebook. But maybe you do. So depending on the message, you can just click, click, click. MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, not Blackberry Messenger. Life is great, send, and you're good to go. Another thing, media sync. And this is one of the features that I didn't really know about until I watched some recap of this conference. Basically, it allows you to sync your music, DRM-free of course, photos, videos to your device. But it does it over the air, Wi-Fi. So you just select in Windows Media Player, in iTunes, what you want to sync, and right over the air when you're connected to Wi-Fi, that content will be synchronized to your device, which is really cool. We've had some third-party accessories and applications that have sort of done this, but we've never really had a manufacturer. Obviously, Android doesn't do this, iPhone OS doesn't do this, target this Wi-Fi syncing over the air, and I think it's really a big thing that now the Blackberry, whereas, let's say, iOS, a lot of stuff that you need to do comes into the computer. A lot of synchronizing, etc., etc. But now with Blackberry, you're much more isolated and able to do everything right from the mobile platform, which is a really good thing. Now, this is going to be available on all future SKUs of Blackberry, but there are also a few phones that will be getting this update. The Blackberry Bold 9700, 9650, and the Pearl 3G, I believe, off the top of my head, will be getting this update. Of course, subject to carrier certification, but again, all future Blackberries will be getting this. Now, as you can see, I alluded to this before, the new device is called the Blackberry Torch. This is going to be launching on August 12th, 2010 for $199.99 on a 2-year contract with the required data plan for smartphones, which is a big gripe I have with all of the carriers at this point. Just a little bit of the specifications. It has a 3.2-inch touchscreen, which I believe is 480 by 360 pixels. I can't really see my notes right now because I'm blind. But it also has a full QWERTY keyboard, so it just slides up and you have full QWERTY on there. And I presume it has great build quality as well. That's what I've come to expect from a phone like this. Some more of the specifications. It has at this point, almost pedestrian 624 megahertz processor, 512 megabytes of RAM and ROM, 4 gigabytes of internal storage, but that's expandable via micro SD. And in the box, you'll also get a 4 gigabyte micro SD card. So basically, when you get the phone home with you, you'll basically have 8 gigabytes of storage to work with. It has a 5 megapixel camera, a 1300 milliamp hour battery. Those are just some of the specifications, of course. There'll be more, of course, over here in the video. But what I want to talk about is the fact that this really isn't the device that I had been hoping for. Of course, we wanted a phone that had this new operating system, and the idea of a touchscreen merged with QWERTY is really nice. physical QWERTY is really a wonderful input medium, especially if it's built correctly. And touchscreen has just become the new interface and UI of choice for many users, including myself. I really couldn't go back to a non-touchscreen device at this point. But I was expecting something with a much higher pixel density. I was expecting at least a 3.5-inch screen. And I think it's kind of sad that they went with this sort of lower end, in my eyes, device. I mean, think about it. Both the Captivate and the 16GB iPhone 4, both $200 on AT&T. Same as the Torch here. You know, 3.5-inch screen. The Retina display is a huge pixel density, 326 or something off the top of my head, PPI. And the Captivate is not a slouch either. I believe it's 800 by 400 pixels. That's a 4-inch screen. So this is the smallest screen, smallest pixel density, and it's kind of disappointing. For me, I think 3.5-inch screen, you know, something like this, is kind of the smallest you would want. And I think the best device you possibly could have was something of this form factor, you know, with a sliding QWERTY. So BlackBerry and RIM had the right idea, but they just didn't make the hardware match up with the software, because the software right now is not lacking. It hasn't been released yet, August 12th, so we know that it's going to be good. We know that it's going to be a significant upgrade. We know that messaging will be good. Email will be great like it's always been on BlackBerries. We know the WebKit browser will be improved, but some early reports are saying that, oh, the phone locks up when we're doing some more intensive web page loading. So why not throw in a gigahertz chip? Hummingbird, Snapdragon. People are using gigahertz chips all the time now for smartphones. This is supposed to be your flagship device, the only one that you're launching right now with OS 6. And you're putting in a sort of pedestrian processor at this point. That's kind of disappointing. This needed to be a killer phone. I'm not saying it's not. I haven't gotten my hands on it yet. All I'm saying is that they really needed to do a lot more on paper. Of course, maybe let's say that some of that slowdown was from early software, still beta hardware, whatever. If we were to get it in our hands on August 12th, and we suffered no slowdown, everything loaded perfectly, and for some, the display was good enough in terms of build quality and colors and contrast ratio, that even though it has a kind of low resolution that everything would work, then fine, I'd be perfectly happy with that, and I really want to use this device and get some hands-on time with it. But at this point, I'm just a little disappointed, and just for a little question to you guys, what do you think of this phone? I mean, for $200, is it a phone that you'd actually buy? I mean, there's the Captivate, there's the iPhone, there are other smartphones out there that have bigger screens, better screens. So that's just something for me to think about. Of course, business users still get what they want, they still have their full QWERTY, they still have their messaging, but I really think that they need to grasp and attract consumers and customers and the average Joe that just wants, you know, a screen that pops and wants to consume media, you know? And one last thing before I forget and sign off for today. The BlackBerry Marketplace, I forget what it's called now off the top of my head, but it's actually going to be the first carrier billing service. So if you went onto the store, you bought a $5 weather application, a $10 Twitter client, and $10 worth of games, on your next bill you'd have a $25 charge for those applications, which is kind of cool. I think the carrier billing is kind of nice because instead of having, you know, iTunes billing and then your AT&T bill, etc., you know, aggregating and congregating that all into one place is kind of a good thing. So, again, I'm Michael Sherlock from michaelsherlock.com. This is the BlackBerry Torch. What do you think about it? Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.